In an authentic World War II Avenger aircraft, we decide to refly for perhaps the first time the exact planned route of the doomed Flight 19 out over the waters of the Bermuda Triangle. Under the leadership of experienced pilot Charles Taylor, Flight 19 originally took off from what is now Fort Lauderdale International Airport. The planes, 4 of them carrying a crew of 3 and one with just 2 aviators on board, were to fly a 4-sided route from Fort Lauderdale to Bimini, Great Harbor Cay to the island of Grand Bahama, and then back to base. The weather was fair. Simple enough, you might think. The first leg was to take them toward Bimini, around 56 miles out from their Fort Lauderdale base, with some torpedo practice over Chicken and Hen Shoal en route. The plan shows them continuing east on a compass heading of 91 degrees for 67 miles. They were then supposed to turn north-northwest for 73 miles. The final left turn to the west would have put them on direct course for their Fort Lauderdale home base. Records show that they made the first 3 legs of their journey, but they never made that final leg. They lost contact at 7:04 p.m., never to be heard from again. No remains ever to be found. It was a tragic journey for the crewmen of Flight 19 and the friends and loved ones they left behind. Obie O'Brien, an ex-Navy pilot, war hero who signed up the year after the disaster, will pilot our Avenger bomber, identical to the 5 planes of Flight 19.
In 1950, I was flying the Corsair in a Corsair squadron, and we went to Korea on the USS Boxer. I flew 40-some missions, and during that time, I was awarded the Air Medal.
Our pilot is from the same generation as the young and dedicated servicemen of Flight 19, who would have been grateful to have survived the dangers of the Second World War. To make our flight authentic, our plane will navigate with the same basic method as was used by Flight 19 and other pilots for years, steering by compass and watching the islands below. We take off from the same Fort Lauderdale runway at the same time, 2:10 in the afternoon, as Flight 19, although in slightly better weather conditions. For Flight 19 60 years before, the first signs of trouble came when their leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, radioed that he was uncertain of his position. Jim Ward was a radio operator on a nearby naval ship that day and heard the radio transmissions of the fateful flight.
We heard the flight leader come in and call the tower and ask them if they would put their radar on and get a fix on him because he wasn't quite sure where he was.
It seems inexplicable, but it appears Taylor believed that he was over the Florida Keys, the island chain stretching 100 miles out into the Gulf of Mexico. It's more likely that he was almost some 200 miles further northeast.
So the tower came back in about 15-20 minutes and said, "We can't find you on the radar. Do you have any idea where you are?" He says, "Well, I think I've seen some islands." He said, "Well, can you identify the islands?"
Exact transcripts of his radio messages reveal that Taylor was experiencing problems.
Both my compasses are out and I'm trying to find Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm on the land, but it's broken. I'm sure I'm in the Keys, but I don't know how far down and I don't know how to get to Fort Lauderdale.
After flying without incident, our plane runs into problems. Amazingly, it's at almost exactly the same time as Taylor announced his instruments were malfunctioning, around 3:50. The turn and slip instrument in our Avenger starts to perform erratically, making it harder for our pilot to make smooth and efficient turns.
Let's turn and fly east 2 degrees. We're going too damn far north instead of east. If there is anything, we wouldn't see it.
It was now 3 hours since they took off. They had enough fuel for at least another 3 hours. The crewmen started to argue, and another Flight 19 pilot, Captain Edward Powers, tried to take control and turn them to the west.
Damn it! If we would just head west, we would get home!
In our recreation of the flight, the next hour passes smoothly and Great Harbour Cay is safely in sight below. We make a left turn and head north for Grand Bahama, the most northerly point of our flight, and another hour's flying time away. Here, Flight 19 should have turned west and headed home. But by now, Flight 19 could have been disoriented, their fuel dangerously low, and with darkness fast approaching.
You didn't get far enough east. How long have we been going east? We're now heading 270 west.
Now, incredibly, another problem affects the recreation of Flight 19. Our chase plane pilot, flying alongside us to take film of the Avenger, announces his aircraft's turn and slip indicator, exactly the same instrument which became erratic on our plane, is also malfunctioning. It's completely frozen.
Something really strange is going on here, guys.
What is the problem? And more importantly, why is it happening? Flight 19 never made that final turn west. The 5 planes were doomed to fly on, with rapidly emptying gas tanks, further and further to the east, into the empty ocean and the growing darkness.
We will head 270 until we hit the beach or run out of gas. When the first man gets down to 10 gallons of gas, we will all land in the water together. Does everyone understand that?
And that was the last that we heard on the radio. They asked him how much gas he had left. He said about a half hour, 20 minutes. We waited till that half hour went by, and there was no more activity on the radio. We knew they were down someplace, but we didn't know where. So they sent out all the boats and all the planes that they had available to go look for them.